So the this series is about alcoholism, and it makes it pretty clear. It doesn't really hide from that. And the thing about alcoholism is it kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things where there's no pill, there's no cure, and it's pretty sad because it's one of those places, one of the few places where a trained professional will look you in the eye and say, the only thing I can really tell you to do is pretend like you don't have it until you die. That's kind of fucked up. Counselor is a series that was in my head for a few years before I actually wrote it. I think it was always a series, and it was always two guys.
I would say, it's about a therapist who has his own demons, and he is trying to help a client who clearly has his demons, kind of wears it on the sleeves.
This doctor who has a small side office that he takes on patients almost like a community service work. One of the cases that we're highlighting this season is the young man who, wonderfully played by Chad, who has been appointed to him to go through these evaluations in order for him to get some release from his sentencing.
Doc comes across in the beginning of the series as really polished and having all the answers and knowing what to do, and we eventually learn that he's not as polished as he'd like us to think.
The idea of being able to tackle a character like Dr. Bonanza that with no guidelines. The idea for me really is that there are prototypes in everything we see, or especially on television and movies. They kind of give you this prototype to live through, and a very simple narrative. And my idea, and Harold's as well, when we talked about it, was breaking all of those molds and kind of giving you still a very three-dimensional real person, a real individual, but having them be so complex and having their path and their journey be so concentrated that it's really intriguing to watch.
Or maybe you're like me, an underachiever with self-destructive tendencies. That's a doctor talk for a class A fuck-up.
I'm not very interested, David.
In what?
This game.
To be able to really just kind of delve in and just uproot all kinds of things that you think you know what's going on and you think you know who this individual is, and it's not.
The character David is he's kind of he's definitely like kind of a street guy, and he's kind of down on his luck. But he's he didn't finish high school, and he's been to jail, and he's kind of the guy you walk past that you've officially kind of written off. The thing I wanted to do most was create a guy that has all the elements that you would write him off, and force you to actually listen to him and his story.
Well, I thought he was an asshole. Right, first, and then I thought he had like a humor that was kind of always right under the surface, kind of like his self-defense.
Why are we talking about this?
Think about it, Doc. A bunch of women tired of men either start acting like men, or they search out women who act like men.
Okay, you know what? That is a gross oversimplification of something that is probably more false than true.
Is it?
Yeah.
And don't even get me started on the sex department. I mean, make a decision already. I mean, if you don't like men, why the hell is your girlfriend wearing a strap-on? I thought he was very troubled and very complex. Had a lot of issues from childhood all the way up that made him who he was. So I just thought he was a very complicated individual.
Last time you was here, David, you said your father had taught you two things, but you only told me one. What was the other thing that he had taught you?
What the fuck you want to know about him, Doc? He was a junkie, huh?
I think that doing series are like writing a novel as opposed to a short story, and that was sexy to me, and that idea is something that really interested me.
It wasn't very daunting to me. It wasn't very nerve-wracking or scary because I come from the theater, and most of theater training and and is just you and another partner. You know what I mean? So I was really looking forward to the tennis match that can happen.
The camera could only go but two places, me and the other actor. So you really couldn't cheat, you know, it's all performance, very performance driven. So really it felt like a play on stage. And because it was like a very confined space, it really relied on the performance of the eyes and kind of the intensity between two people in closeness. So I found that to be a challenge in the sense that it was something I'd never done before, especially because it's very dialogue heavy, but also exciting at the same time because it did have that theatrical feel.
My biggest thing was to not lie about the reality of what these two characters are going through. The biggest thing I wanted to do is tell a truthful story about two men in two different places that have sort of similar aspects about them. And what I didn't want to do is start the series, and then end the series and tell you that these guys were cured, right? They're not gonna be cured. It's not gonna happen. If you can watch it and see two men move from one place to another, hopefully a better place, that was my sort of understanding of success.
David, you've done things one way all of your life. Now people can say whatever they want to say about that, but you've only done them one way. If you want to have a different result, you have to do things differently.
It consists of 8 short films and about 2 people in one room. And you know, I think if you can pull off 2 people in one room as an actor, producer, director, writer, I think you're in good shape, you know, as a filmmaker and as a storyteller.
All right, I also wanted to add in the song that I wrote for the Counselor's theme music that comes in at the beginning and at the end of the credits. So please make sure you use this. The counselor is the counselor, and he teaches you the right from wrong. Don't do that. Yes, do this. Yes, do this. The counselor is the counselor, and he teaches you the right from wrong. Don't do that. Don't do this. Yes, do this. The counselor. The counselor, the counselor, the counselor.